Hi everybody! Welcome to another calligraphy techniques video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make some customized school supplies. Making your own customized school supplies helps you not only remember which notebook is for which subject, but it also helps you express yourself a little bit. So let's see what you'll need. For today's project, you're going to need some contact paper. This is optional, but I highly recommend it. It gives your notebook a nice glossy surface and also makes it a little bit waterproof. You're also going to need some scrapbook paper, a pencil and an eraser, and you're going to need a calligraphy marker. You're also going to need some scissors, some notebooks or journals. I'm using regular one subject notebooks here, but you could use any type of notebook or journal you would like. You're also going to need some cardstock paper or construction paper. You can have it in as many colors as you would like as well. Today I'm also going to be using some brush tip markers, but you can use any markers that you have lying around, or even colored pencils or Sharpies. The final thing you're going to need is double-sided tape. I highly recommend double-sided tape. It makes it go a lot quicker. So now that you've got everything together, let's get started. So first I'm actually going to start out by making my own illustrations on some of the cardstock paper. Sometimes you can't always find patterns or designs that you like in scrapbook paper, so it's nice to have the cardstock and the markers to be able to make something of your own. For this design, I'm going for really simple and easy, sort of sketchy, illustrative flowers. These aren't any particular flowers, but I think they look a little bit like peonies or roses, and I think they look really pretty when you put them all together and give them a bunch of different colors. So now that I'm done with that one, I'm going to go on to the next one. This one ends up being a messy chevron. The messiness of it, I think it gives it a little bit of energy and life, and I think it kind of shows you guys that it doesn't need to be exactly perfect to look good. You can make mistakes, it can be not as straight as you would like it to be, and it still looks really pretty and gives you a nice end result. So now that you're done with those, let's move on to the first notebook. So first I'm going to take the flowers that I illustrated, and I'm going to place some double-sided tape on all the edges and the inside of the paper. You want this notebook to last you the whole semester or even the whole year, so you want to make sure that you make it very secure. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to place the paper right on top of my notebook. I cut off the corners and now I'm folding in the edges to make sure that it lies flat to the notebook. Now I'm going to take a piece of the small scrapbook paper and I'm going to add some double-sided tape to the back of that too. placing it in the center, kind of towards the top. And now I'm going in with a red marker. I'm doing this to try to make both of the elements of the background and the piece of scrapbook paper look more cohesive and like they're meant to be together. Once I'm done with the outline, I'm gonna go in with a piece of scrapbook paper that I cut a little bit smaller, and I'm gonna add some double-sided tape to the back of that as well. Now I'm placing that in the center, and then I'm gonna use a pencil to kind of outline the area where I want the calligraphy to go. So for the top, I'm gonna make it actually a rounded name. So I'm making sure to make the pencil in the shape that I want. Now I'm going in with the red marker, and I'm doing an outline of the smaller piece of scrapbook paper as well. I feel like it kind of mirrors the bigger one, and it makes it look nice together. Now I'm going in with my calligraphy marker, and I'm starting to write out the name Melissa. So here's a part where I would say, like, do as I say and not as I do, because I would recommend that you go in first with a pencil and make sure that all of your calligraphy is centered and even before going in with the calligraphy marker. However, I was feeling confident and in a little bit of a rush, so I decided just to wing it and go in. And you'll see that like the Melissa turns out okay, but as I keep going with the word algebra, I find myself having to make the letters a little bit thinner as I go to the edge. It looks a little bit skewed to the right, but again, calligraphy is not about being perfect. It's about expressing yourself, having fun, and doing what you like to do. Let's move on to the second notebook. So for this notebook, I'm going to start it the same way I did the other one, by placing double-sided tape all along the back. Now I'm carefully placing it on the front of the notebook. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky with the placement because of the double-sided tape, but just have patience and you'll get it there in the end. Again, I got off the corners and I'm folding in the sides. Now I'm going in with this really cool gold chevron scrapbook paper, and I'm using double-sided tape. I placed that in the center, and now I'm going in with a piece of blue paper that's the same color as the background, and I'm using my scrapbook paper as a guide to give me the right measurement. Because I want it to be a little bit smaller, I'm now going to put the scrapbook paper upwards and towards the left so that I get a smaller square. I'm going to cut that out. And then I'm going to secure it to the chevron paper with double-sided tape. The chevron paper, because of the gold, is a little bit hard to adhere to, so you want to make sure that you use plenty of tape. This one I decided to make it for creative writing, so I'm starting off with my calligraphy for that word first. I'm doing this one because I figured like creative writing is a little bit more creative and artsy, so I decided to do some bouncy faux calligraphy letters. Making letters bouncy just means that they're not all on the same plane and they look a little bit more fun and a little alive, and I think it fit really well for the creative writing. Now I'm going in with another color, and I'm writing with just a regular capitalized font. Now I'm going in with the thin side of my brush tip markers and writing property of, and then with the thick side again, I'm doing some regular faux calligraphy to write out the name Emma. Because my property of isn't necessarily centered, I'm going to add a little bit of a flourish to try to make it look a little bit more centered. Don't know if I achieved that, but anyways, let's move on to the third one. So this one I decided to go a little bit more minimal, and I'm just using blue cardstock all by itself without any sort of illustration or design. I'm adding double-sided tape to the back, and now I'm placing it on the front of the notebook. You can see here now that I'm cutting off the corners, and I'm folding in the edges. Now I've decided to go in with this really cool geometric pattern, and I'm going to attach it with more double-sided tape. Now I'm going to go in with some more scrapbook paper, and using a similar technique that I used before, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Now I'm placing this one in the center, and I took the little off cuttings and made them into little right triangles, and then I'm placing those on the corner. I think it adds a cute little detail, and I really thought it kind of tied in the center color with everything else. Now I'm going in with my brush tip, and I'm going to make this one a daily planner. So I'm starting off with regular calligraphy, just writing out the word daily. I'm going back in and thickening up any of the downward strokes. And now I'm going in with the word planner. I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't make it too big, so I just quickly with my finger kind of wrote out where it would be to make sure that I would have enough space. Now I'm just adding thickness to the downward strokes again. And then I'm going to move on. I'm using the smaller side of my marker, and I'm writing 2021 to 2022 for this school year. I had a little flourish on the edges, and then I made this one for Sarah. So I start off by just writing Sarah's name in regular cursive, and then going in again and just adding some width to the downward strokes. Although this one is the most minimal, I also think it's my favorite. I like the simple design and the little bit of gold in the scrapbook paper. Now I'm going to use the contact paper, and I'm going to measure it and make sure that it's big enough to fit the notebook with some extra on the edges. Now you're going to peel your contact paper, which can be a little bit tricky, and you're going to carefully try to place it onto the notebook. This part can be a little bit difficult, but the good thing about contact paper is that it's not so sticky that you can't remove it. So it's easily removable, so if you have any sort of little bubbles or bumps, it's easily like lifted and you can smooth it out once again. So once that looks good, I'm going to go to the back and I'm going to cut off the corners and I fold in the sides. So the contact paper just simply goes over everything and makes it so that it all is secure. The other great thing about contact paper is that it also makes it a little bit waterproof. Not completely, but a little water resistant, so if you accidentally place a cold drink on top, you won't have a big circle. So now you're all done. Thanks for watching this month's calligraphy techniques video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you some inspiration for what you want to do with your own school supplies. Remember that calligraphy is all about having fun, not perfection. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to join us next month for some more fun and inspiration.